Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mindful Momentum podcast. I am your host, Robin Todd, and we're super excited today to visit with Tonya Williams. And I've known Tonya for a few years now, and just excited to talk with her for all of you to learn some of the things that she's doing, where she is working, and just yeah, we can all continue to grow and be inspired. So let me tell you a little bit about Tonya. She is a lifelong wellness advocate with a background in exercise science and business from the University of Kansas. She's led fitness programs across various settings, was named KRPA's Distinguished New Professional in 2021, and now serves as team lead of the Wellbeing and Fitness at Garmin. She is also a certified run coach, which I didn't know. That's quite interesting. Personal trainer, and a graduate of the Live Mindful program. Woo woo.
Yes.
Outside of work, she's a mom of two, a movement enthusiast, a lover of coffee, which you kind of have to be when you're a mom, I think, parks, and a good book. Ooh, so we might find out if you have a good book recommendation when we wrap up today. So
Okay.
anyway, so welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. Excited to be here. And the lover of coffee is actually decaf.
Oh,
Uh,
decaf.
so
Okay.
I don't do it for the caffeine. I love the flavor, but
Very good. Well, that might be better for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably a little
Are you
bit.
one of, are you one of those people who don't need any caffeine to wake up in the morning?
I don't need it, and if all there is caffeine option, I'll take it. But I just love the flavor. So if I'm going to drink as much as I enjoy drinking, then decaf is the route I go.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Very good. I wish I didn't need it. I just need 2 cups of caffeine and then I'm good. Then I move to decaf, right?
Yes.
I figure it's healthier than like those energy drinks.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
but one of these days, maybe I'll get myself off of that and just be able to wake up on my own and not need anything. But anyway, we digress. So let's get started in our conversation. So I would love to know kind of what motivated you, Tanya, to be an advocate for mental health and mindfulness at Garmin. So tell us a little bit about maybe your journey before Garmin, how you got to Garmin, and then how, where this kind of recognizing the importance of mental health in well-being and resilience kind of came into play for you.
Yeah. So previous to Garmin, I worked at a large rec center here. Love what I did, but it was very much, fitness programming, nutrition, and I was ready to expand to a more holistic approach, right? There is much more to us as individuals than just physical nutrition. And so I actually, as funny as this is, only a couple people knew this, but for several years, I actually wanted to work at Garmin in this position. And so my husband knew that, and our one friend that worked at Garmin knew that. And so, kind of full circle here, it is crazy to be at Garmin in this position. But I love the diversity and the depth that we have there. We do look at the individual holistically and not just physical, even though a lot of our products are geared towards that. There's much more to us than just that. And so, the cool thing with advocating for mental health and mindfulness at Garmin is that they've been doing it and prioritizing it for a while now, long before I was actually an associate there. So, that's wonderful because I know some organizations are still just slowly getting on board with this. But my team and I continue to prioritize mental health and mindfulness because we understand the importance and the impact that it has on associates' uh, professional life, but also their personal life, right? The mental health of associates, if you think about it, not just to Garmin, but to any organization, is vital for the success of that organization, right? So we want to have a very thriving population of associates. That way, hopefully, we're seeing that success across the board. And when we prioritize mental well-being and we promote that mindfulness practice, it leads to a more productive, a more engaged, and a more resilient workforce that ultimately leads to happier associates, which, that's the end goal, I feel like.
Absolutely. I love that. I love, and it is, well, first of all, I love that you had kind of had your eye on Garmin, because isn't that so fun to kind of have your sights on that and to have that goal, and then the opportunity comes up, and And I know you wouldn't have gotten it if you didn't bring a wealth of knowledge and experience with you, to that, but also recognizing, I love too, that your desire to stretch yourself and grow a little bit. I think sometimes as human beings, we can get really comfortable in our predictable role. And, that's good, but to venture out of comfortable to get a little uncomfortable can be scary, and yet you did it, and yeah, and are bringing all this wisdom to Garmin, and grateful, I know that you are, of their work in recognizing that certainly does help when we do have advocates, for to address mental health in the organization we're working at. But yeah, love that. I know the research supports all of that, right? And so it's really
Yes.
just always making the case and making sure that people, the leadership in our organizations, know that research, that the productivity and the efficiency and the effectiveness and the relationships, and oh my goodness, it's so deep and so broad in how it affects us in so many different ways when we can, really begin addressing that mental health. And people spend so much time at work, right?
So much time at work. Yes.
And they may not
Yes.
get this insight or this time to really recognize it, build awareness, and start working on these things, maybe elsewhere. So kudos to you, and for Garmin. That's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the things you're doing at Garmin, to support mental health among your associates.
Yeah, so we support associates with their mental health in a variety of ways. And doing so, we try to reach them where they're at, right? We're all in different aspects of where our mental health is, different phases of life. So it looks different for all of us. So some of the initiatives, some of these are really big, some of these are much smaller. But one of them we've got someone on our team who actually can teach mental health first aid. So this is wonderful, right? Because we can reach associates. And not only that, we can do specific trainings for leadership. And when we
Mhm.
do these trainings for leadership, it helps them to be more aware and confident in recognizing the signs, of stress and burnout, and then hopefully allowing them or providing them with the resources and support that they need to then offer that support back to their team, right? In a time of crisis, or if they can just slowly see this creeping in on an associate, then
Mhm.
they've got those resources. They know they've had the support and they can best help their own team in doing so. So that's one that's had great feedback on our end. Relatively simple, right? You can have someone be trained as a trainer, and then they can do the outreach to your team or to your associates.
Yeah.
We do the Live Mindful program, obviously by Mindful Momentum. I get to teach that and I love it. We actually just had Bring Your Child to Work Day. And we had a session on that day. So I was able to flip it to My Hero Within, or My Hero, is that what it's called? Yes. And it was wonderful. It was so fun to teach, having kiddos myself, and then also being able to see, parents there engage with their kids in these conversations, right? Because I feel like this is such an important conversation to start at an early age. You can never go wrong with helping kids understand their emotions, understand these breathing techniques, and all these other techniques that can help them at such an early age, that as they're older and they have these obstacles, they have these hills and valleys, they're going to be much more resilient working through those. So yes, very excited to have the Live Mindful program and be able to teach it. We do obviously, promote and do a lot of events, for Mental Health Month. That's currently right now in May. So we did, Be Seen in Green. We do lunch and learns. We'll bring in speakers or panelists. We have a Tai Chi instructor coming in next week to teach the Tai Chi class. Once again, just really working through the mindfulness, as well as minimizing stress. And then World Mental Health Day in October is another one. And I would say kind of the next last big one I'll speak to is, having a caregiver program. We've got a caregiving program. And if you think about it, a lot of times when we have stress, And when we are feeling maybe burnt out, it's because we're potentially taking care of another person, right? Whether it's kids, whether it's your parents, if we've got some older associates who's taking care of their parents,
Right.
whether it be me and taking care of my grandparents, right? And when you add that variable into your everyday life of caring for someone else, it comes with a lot of stress and a lot of uncertainty. And so we've got a program that actually supports associates in any aspect of caring for another individual to really try to help offload some of that burden and some of that stress to hopefully make that caregiving process a little easier for them.
Yeah. Okay. Now, okay, two questions came up. One, which practice did you teach at Bring Your Kids to Work Day with the My Hero Within?
Yeah, I struggled a little bit back and forth of how to handle that. And I just went ahead and jumped straight into the first one. I didn't want them to feel lost or anything.
Yeah,
And so yeah, we
perfect.
just we just did the just this
Yeah.
breathing, very basic. I didn't know what age of kids I was going to have. It could be anywhere from kindergarten up to senior in high
Right.
school.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that was just a safe bet and it was well accepted.
Good. Well, and
Yeah.
any age can do that, right?
Yes,
It's
yes,
whatever, wherever they
yes,
are. So I'm so
absolutely.
I'm so proud of you for doing that. Out of 11 years of doing this, you're the first person that has incorporated that into Bring Your Kids to Work Day. So I love that, and I will be sharing that with
Oh,
other people
awesome.
as well because
Yes,
I think that's great.
yes,
I'm curious about your caregiving program. So I didn't know about
yeah,
that. So talk a little bit more about like what does that look like? What does that support? Yeah, yeah, tell us more about that in case we have listeners
yeah.
that are intrigued, as I am, of like what are logistically, how does that work?
Yeah, so it is a third party vendor. It's not something that's house internal with Garmin. And so, just a few examples here. Let's say you've got kiddos. And I think if you have kiddos, you understand either the cost of daycare or finding childcare um, just in general is really challenging right now. And so, you can hop onto this portal, basically tell them where you're at, and they will have someone on from their organization do all the research for you, do the comparison, and provide you back all the information. So
Nice.
saving you time, as you're going through that, because we've done it a few times, it's a stressful situation, right? You want your kids in a good place. You don't want to have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And so they're able to do some of that work that would be stressful to eliminate some of that stress and then give you back the best options that suit the needs you have. Um,
Love that.
Parents that have kids going off to college, right, that need scholarships, there's same thing. You reach out to them, hey, we're looking for these scholarships. This is the college we're looking to go to. And they do a lot of that back end work to just really help set you up for success and save you on time.
Yeah.
If you've got an older parent that you're looking to potentially put in some sort of adult living care, once again, they can do that back end research that really, especially if you're putting your own parents there, right, that in itself, doing the research is stressful. It's heavy stuff, and so they can do that heavy lifting for you and report back to you, and ultimately you get to make that decision, but you didn't have to spend hours of time um, going through that process. So
Wow.
been a wonderful program. It's supported associates where they are because it
Yeah.
has so much depth in how it can support associates. And so, yeah, we've been very thankful that we were able to find this resource
Oh,
for us.
I love that. And all of those things you mentioned, it's exhausting doing
It
any of
is.
that research, right? And
Yes.
I just, wow, what a gift. I hope
Yes.
people are tapping into that. Sometimes that's the hard part. You can have these resources and then, people don't necessarily use them. So I certainly hope that people are taking advantage of that because yeah, huge emotional energy, time, that can be really a gift to them.
Yeah. And as you speak about so many resources, we do have so many resources. And so a couple of the things we've done is because when you are in a crisis, right, or when you're going through some kind of mental health, or someone is, you can be paralyzed. It's hard to make that next step. And so, a couple of things we've done for associates to hopefully minimize that impact and help them in that moment is we've created a behavioral health roadmap. And so, basically, what this is do you have insurance with us? Do you not? And then you follow that roadmap, and it gives you all of your options for resources, your EAP, things that run through insurance. It gives you all those options that we have. And then we also have created a quad fold. And so this quad fold specifically, it's got like our resources once again on it. It's got local resources, right? So your county health department, mental health department, a variety of those. And then on the back side, we actually have 4 exercises. So we've got like a box breathing exercise, we've got a grounding technique, we've got name it to tame it, and then we have a move exercise, like move your body exercise. So hopefully just simple resources that associates can have at their fingertips prior to any crisis or mental health situation coming their way. So that way, when it does happen, they've got it there. They can quickly make that call or do what they need to do to hopefully help suit themselves best or whoever they're helping in that moment.
Yeah, it's so true. And the thing is, and I talk to people all the time, and we're all this way. We're like, we don't really pay a ton of attention to our resources until we need it. And then we're like,
Yes.
the heck, what do we have? Where do I go? I don't know,
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's kind of not top of mind when we're not in a place
Don't
where we
need it.
need it. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
how do you promote some of those things with your associates?
Yeah, so we've got an insider page. All of our stuff's on the insider page. Anytime we do a lunch and learn that talks anything about mindfulness or mental health or anything like that, we will bring them there and hand them out. We do new associate orientation. We hand them out at new associate orientation. So right there, your first weekend, you've got those resources. Whether you're using insurance or not doesn't matter, because we've got the behavioral health roadmap that tells you if you don't have insurance, you still have resources. Here they are.
Mm,
So any opportunity, we'll lay them in the break rooms, right? The cards are just a small little quad fold card.
mhm.
We'll lay them in the cafe, just there for people to pick up
Yeah.
as they see fit. We haven't done this yet, but we've also talked about magnets. And these magnets could go on all their fridges in our break rooms, right? So a place that people go all the time. They could even pull out their phone, take a screenshot.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we just, any little
Love
place
that.
we can kind of sneak them in, we'll try to sneak them in.
Well, I love that you have the actual tangible. It's of course common to put it at a site, but
Yes.
I'm kind of old school because I'm old, but there's something about having it in my hands or having it, accessible to kind of pick up or take home. Or I know we all have our phones with us all the time, but sometimes just that visual, piece that we can actually hold on to, I think it's really
Yes.
powerful. So
Yes.
yeah, I love that. Well, and it just makes it easy to spread them out in all the different locations and
Yes.
start to
Yeah.
build that
And
awareness.
it's been an easy way because we've got multiple sites, right? So it's been an easy way that not only does this help headquarters where we're at, but we can change, the back stays the same, the exercises work for all. We can change that front side to have Garmin's resources and their local resources on it.
Yeah.
And so then it's a very simple thing that our offsites feel like, oh wow, it goes a long way with them, right? To have those there and present. We've switched it to fit their needs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a simple, easy thing to allow your resources to be out there, because you've got so many, you want them to be utilized, but you also want associates to know how to use them when they need them, and that
Yeah.
allows them to do so.
Yeah. So Tonya, just side note, how do you address mental health and well-being with some of your other locations?
Yeah, so I think it can be challenging for sure. And I think it goes back to also meeting them where they're at, right? The needs that we maybe have at headquarters aren't necessarily the needs at offsites. What we have actually kicked off late last year, early this year, is a well-being champion program. And this champion program basically allows us to have, one individual to a small group at each offsite to really work hand in hand with our team at headquarters to give them the resources they need and meet them where they're at. And so
Mm,
that has been one of the biggest successes for us this year,
mm,
to help get the information to those offsites, but also to help meet those offsites where they are, because they're all in different aspects. They all have different needs. They're in different states. Different things are happening in those states. So
mhm.
that has been super successful, and allowing us to get any of our programming known to those associates, but especially any of our mental health and mindfulness.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I think if we can tap in and elevate people who are already natural champions,
Yes.
and then that communication becomes easier and rolling different things out and really empowering them to, you're right, kind of tailor it to their specific group. I love that. Yes. Yeah, good. Good, good, good. Okay. So let's move on to some specific challenges related to mental health faced by your associates in kind of the tech industry. And how have you, because coming from where you were to Garmin,
Yeah.
the demographics just a little bit different. I mean,
Yes.
we all have a lot of the same things that we're struggling with, but certainly a technology company may have its own challenges. So, what have
Yeah.
those been, and how have you kind of navigated those?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, just the stigma behind mental health in general, I think is still a barrier that we often face in any setting. The negative attitudes and beliefs that some people still have with any mental health adds challenges for others and for ourselves, right? But I think outside of that, I think certain job settings have certain aspects that create barriers, right? So we do have manufacturing and warehouses, obviously, for some of our products. So if you think about it, there are assembly lines. Oftentimes, their jobs force them to have really good focus and precision on depending on what their job is. They've got limited social interaction, right? They're standing
Mhm.
at that line. They're doing the repetitive task over and over. Potential irregular working hours, depending on what their shift is. That constant noise. And so if you think about that, and then of course the high pressure from any specific metrics they're looking to meet. So all of these can be factors within well-being and their mental health that can be
Mhm.
challenging. So, well, and oftentimes they don't have email, right? Because they're at the line, they're doing work, they
Yes.
don't have email. So how do we communicate to them? And so that's been one of our biggest barriers. Just how do we let them know we've got these resources for them? We're here to support them. So we have kind of, we're still working through some of this, but we have started to use digital displays, so like TV screens over there in the break rooms
Mm.
and the cafe, to help promote our offerings that we have. And then meeting them where we can, right? So what are the starting shift hours? Can we do a lunch and learn before their shift starts and kind of back it up really close to when their shift would start, so there's not a lot of lag time there for them? Can we do that afterwards? If they've got a 15-minute break, can we go over there and do something simple to where they don't have to get out of gear? Maybe they don't have to necessarily leave their area, because that takes time when they've only got that 15 minutes. So what
Mhm.
can we take that's impactful but small, that they can really benefit from and take back to their work? So once
Mhm.
again, it's really meeting them where they're at and just getting creative, right? How do we do that? And then just making sure they're aware of, we have these resources for you. We want you to know we have them, and we're here to support you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've thought creatively in how to try to address those. I love to just your mention of sharing small things, because we know that
Yes.
sometimes it's those small little pieces. I mean, it's not like this crazy, life-changing moment, but sometimes
No.
those small little pieces actually, I mean, we know that's so much more beneficial than sitting through even an hour lunch and learn. It might be more beneficial to get a little 10-minute snippet or a 15-minute snippet of something, because then it's not overwhelming, or I don't know. So I love that you're finding little small pockets to meet those folks where they are. So
Yeah.
kudos to
And
you.
not to tease anyone listening, but for me, from the Mindful Momentum program, the brain facts are the most impactful thing to me, right? So these small, simple, like I'm going to call them tips or tricks, and yet they're so impactful for me on my end. So yeah, just those small things add up over time, and having those tools or those resources in your toolbox allows you to hopefully be successful, or to move through with resilience in those moments that are hard for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I haven't really announced this yet, but I'll be sharing with you at our yearly retreat our Simply Mindful, which is our mindful minutes. I've made
Okay.
them into a card deck.
Oh,
And so
fun.
they're just cards, which could be something fun for you to put
Yes.
out on tables. You just read it. It's an awareness campaign, basically.
Yes.
You've
Yes.
probably seen the digital piece, but I made them into little cards. So I'm super excited.
Well, that will be, yeah, that will be
Yeah,
very fun.
we'll talk more about that. Anyway, let's keep going. So let's see. Let's and I know you've talked about so many great ideas that you've shared here with our time. If there was somebody listening who's in your role, and they're excited about kind of addressing mental health, resilience, well-being in their organization, what would you suggest? Where do they start? How do they, kind of move forward? What could they take with them from listening to this podcast and actually maybe do something starting next week? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I think obviously always having leadership on board allows your programs to be successful long term. So
Yeah.
that's obviously very helpful. But aside from that, I think oftentimes budget can be a barrier. And a lot of well being and fitness programs can seem like, and mental health and mindfulness programs, just the wellness field in general can seem very expensive. Out there, but there is actually a lot of free resources. If you take the time and effort, which might take you a little bit more time, right? But as long as you take that time and effort, there's tons out there. You can find them. One great one that we've been utilizing not only at headquarters, but we've helped our offsites through our Wellbeing Champion program utilize is Keys 365. It is actually it's a free interactive suicide prevention education.
Mhm.
And so it's been a wonderful program to utilize for associates with zero cost to it.
And
So
what's that called again, Tanya?
Keys 365,
Like
365.
KEYS
Yes.
365. Okay.
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
gonna look that up. Interesting.
Yeah.
So are they
Yeah.
like little video? Um, s-
No, someone will actually present.
oh, someone will come out and present.
Or virtually.
Or
Yes. Yeah.
virtually. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Do a
Yeah.
webinar kind of thing.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And have your, associates, whoever sign in can use their computer.
Yeah.
Or you could always host it in a large, if someone having a computer, host it in a large conference room so they can all see it. Yeah, it's great. Your county mental health has so many free resources.
Mm.
They will actually come out as well and talk, hold a presentation. We'll often have them just come up to our cafe just for awareness, and they'll hand out goodies and once
Mhm.
again, a conversation if people have questions, if they need resources, they're there for that. Obviously, check what's baked in through your insurance plan. Oftentimes, our insurance plans are so big, right? There's so much baked through them, and we don't even maybe know some of the items. So just make sure you know what is baked through your insurance program, what's free there for you. And then I think if you're going to spend some money, spend it in a way that you can invest in an individual or two that then can invest back in your organization. So, training someone for being able to teach mental health first aid, training someone, sending them through the Mindful Momentum program to get those resources and tools to then be able to turn back around and teach associates and help them where they're at. And then I think outside of that, right, promoting well-being and wellness as a whole, because when we focus on ourselves in a holistic way, that can ultimately improve our mental health. We want to make sure we're eating those nutritious foods, moving your body throughout the day in a way that's comfortable for you, making sure you have a good social group. Sometimes I feel like, especially as we get older and we have kids, it can be hard to make friends, but you need that social group for our longevity and for our happiness. And then financially, not stretching yourself too far, right? And when we do all this in a balanced way, that ultimately will help lead to an improved or good mental health, hopefully impacting you in a positive way.
Mhm. Oh, I love it. Sounds like you're really working on looking at all those aspects of well-being,
Yes.
the
Yes,
financial, the environmental, all those pieces um, contribute, you
they
know,
do. They do.
and I think there are people who still don't understand that.
Yes.
So I love that you're really elevating that within Garmin. I also love that you talked about all the free things around because I do find that people kind of get into that place where they're like, we don't have a budget or it's a very small budget, and so that
Yes.
they feel a little bit paralyzed. So I really appreciate you sharing some things that are free. One of my new avenues of of promoting is utilizing here in Kansas City First Call. So,
Okay.
and also the county health department, as you mentioned, to promote getting a dose of Narcan um,
Okay.
to every person. So, just
Yes.
wanted to throw that out to you. We haven't had a chance to talk about that,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of anytime I do a presentation now, if I can, I take a supply with me to share
Yes. Yes.
because there's this, I mean, it is, we are seeing unfortunately just lots of overdose.
Yes.
But you know what's interesting is as I kind of dove into that, I was inspired by one of my other guests on our podcast, Dr. John Gall, and he had actually used it to save someone's life on an airplane, which is crazy.
Oh,
But as
yeah.
I began to look into it, it's not just for people who are we think of who are maybe addicts who've overdosed, but maybe elderly people who got their medication mixed up.
Okay.
I have some
Yeah.
elderly parents, or people who accidentally have took a medication and then went and had some drinks and that combination
Yeah.
so there's more than just lots of us think, well, I'm not really around anyone who is a drug addict, but there are other situations that can really be helpful for. So we'll have to talk more about that, but yeah, that's a great thing that would be super helpful
Yes.
just to pass out. Now I'm kind of like I have one in my medicine cabinet. I In the olden days it was just you always had, what is it, syrup of ipecac. You probably don't even know what that is.
No.
No, okay. In my day, that's what you had when you had kids because you give it to somebody, it makes them throw up. Like if they
Yes. Okay.
ingested, I don't even think I
Something
had.
they shouldn't have.
Yeah, it's something that they shouldn't have. Yes. And so you give them that to make them throw up. But that was in the
Yes.
olden days. I'm dating myself. But now it's like we all need Narcan or
Yes.
naloxone in our car or in our medicine cabinet because you just never know.
You
So
just don't know.
I know.
Yes.
Anyway, so that
Absolutely.
might be something we can talk more about that later. But I love all these ideas, and I'm hopeful that some of our listeners might take one of those little nuggets and kind of run with it. As we kind of think about wrapping up our conversation. Well, first of all, let me just ask you: is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners that we didn't really talk about that you feel like has been a huge win? For you, Garmin, yeah, anything that we really haven't addressed that outside of our questions.
Yeah. No, I think for me, and I truly do think this, the Mindful Momentum program has not only been a win for associates, but it's been a win for myself. In with that, it's allowed me to understand that nothing has to be overly complicated or huge that you start implementing, right? Truly meet yourself where you're at. When you have kids, it can be overwhelming. Like, where do you find the time to do any of this? Or whatnot. Take that one small thing you've learned and implement it for 3 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be anything drastic. And that goes with any aspect of wellness, right? Working out. I used to have this all or none mentality, right? If I don't have an hour to work out, I'm not going to work out. And ever since I've had kids, that's been able to switch. And if I can get 15 minutes in the morning, I am pumped. And that 15 minutes goes a long way. Those small little moments, those small little impacts that you're doing for yourself add up over time. So that's what I would say. Mindful momentum for sure, but
Oh,
also finding those small moments to implement anything you're trying to work on throughout your day. It adds up whether you see it or not. It may take a little bit of time, but it will add up.
yeah. Well, I love that. And I didn't pay you to say that.
No,
So
not at all.
it's been such a joy to watch you because that is when we embody mindfulness, that's what ripples out and it ripples into every aspect of our life, right?
Yes.
You with your children and your marriage and your just the struggles of our day-to-day existence as well as our professional life. And so I know it started out as something you were doing for Garmin, but it
Yes.
always quickly turns in every person I train quickly turns into I needed this for me. And this is
Yes.
the perfect time. The interesting thing is always, I call it divine time. People are like, I needed this right now in my life at this moment.
Yes.
And yeah, it's so rewarding for me to be able to walk that journey with you. So I love that. And I love that I'm still trying to embrace the all or nothing mentality because I kind of
Yes.
still have that. And my daughter helps me remember that. Like, so I was down waiting on something and I picked up my 25-pound dumbbell and started doing some squats. That's my goal for myself, is to find these moments when I'm in between things to actually like
Yes.
just stand up and do some lunges, or do some, because over the course of the day, I'm thinking it'll add up.
Hmm.
Just don't always have that whole uninterrupted block of time.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I don't even have any kids at home. So I don't have any excuse, really. I mean, I did when I had kids. Actually, I was more committed to doing it when I had kids. Isn't that funny? I think sometimes the more time you have, the less you get done than when
Yes.
then
Yes.
you're like, okay, I've got this time. You kind of prioritize differently. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
So tell us, what do you do? You shared a little bit about those
Yeah.
little moments of finding 15 minutes to exercise. And we know you're an avid runner. And tell us a little bit about what you do to take care of yourself, whether it's mindfulness or physical or joy, what brings you joy. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. So it's funny because thinking about that, it's like I do everything but nothing at the same time. Where this comes from is because over time, over years, I have slowly implemented small little things throughout my life that now it feels like I don't do anything, but that's because they're baked into my everyday life and I don't even think about maybe the impact it's making in me, right? So first year of college was hard for me. And so I actually went to physical therapy. And one of the things I took away from there was exercise and the impact it can have on your mental health. Um,
Hmm.
and so that's where I actually picked up running. Someone that has a sports background, typically for the most part, doesn't enjoy running, right? Because that was our punishment for anything in sports,
It's
right?
so
Soccer,
true.
hit the line, do some suicides. Basketball, hit the line, right? So running is punishment in sports. So when my therapist at the time was like, why don't you go pick up some kind of activity? I'm like, well, I'm in college. I need to be able to do it on my own. And running popped up. I was like, I hate this. This is not fun.
Ah,
What am I doing? But I stuck with it and started to actually see the benefits of it. And it was so, so powerful to me as an individual that's actually what then changed my trajectory of my career because I was actually previously a graphic designer.
yeah.
And so then that's kind of what shot me down this career path, which I'm forever thankful for. But so movement I picked up 15 years ago. And so that has, because I know my why behind it,
Mhm.
every morning I'm up working out, right? Whether it's a walk, whether it's strength training, whether it's running, whether it's yoga, I am doing some form of movement because I know my mental health is better because of it.
Yes.
Nutrition, I do the 80-20-90-10 rule, right? You've got to enjoy in moderation. But
Mhm.
I know, once again, my why, that when I eat whole, nutritious food, I feel better physically and mentally.
Yeah.
It impacts me maybe more than it impacts others when my diet is not nutritious. And so, just those little things over time, I've continued to add in. And then I think that not having the all or nothing mentality, once again, I used to have that. And I do pretty good with the kids now. Like, what can I get in? When can I get it in? And not only that, what can I do with the kids? Right?
Yes.
They're watching us day in and day out. Every morning, once my son wakes up, he comes downstairs with me while I work out.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I actually have pictures of him trying to pick up 25-pound dumbbells already. And
Oh,
so hopefully as they see me eat nutritious food, me work out, me take some time to work on my mental health, do breathing techniques, which I do help them through when are emotional. We'll walk through some very basic, just breathing techniques to help calm them down. The over time, not only is it impacting me, but it's impacting them in
yeah.
ways they don't know until they get a little bit older.
Oh, what a gift. What a gift. Because, and we talk about this all the time. Your kids are watching you every
They
moment.
are.
And
Yes.
and what you they don't listen to what you say. We think they do, but they're
Yes.
really paying attention to how you live and what
Yes.
you say without your words, which is what you're eating and prioritizing movement and calming yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed and sharing that with them. So, what a gift that you're giving your children. Yes. I love that.
It's fun.
It's a win-win, right? Because it's
Yes.
what you
Yes.
need, but you're then raising kids who are observing that, And
Yes.
that's what they're going to do because our kids do what we do. Um,
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
all the
And then
good,
as a parent, walking them through that, right? Like it can be hard in the moment, but hindsight, it's like, wow, that was powerful, not only for them, but for me in that exact moment. So yeah, they teach us all the time too. I'm always learning from them.
I know. And it is hard. Sometimes it's like, okay, I just need like, if I could just have 10 minutes to myself, things will go faster and I'll be able to, but you know what? It is what it is.
It
And
is.
and
Yes.
finding it's that mindset shift and
Absolutely.
letting them be a
Absolutely.
part of it and also giving reducing our perfectionistic tendencies of we want it to be a certain way, our workout
Yes.
or how
Yes.
things roll. And I think when you have kids, you have to learn to, okay, well, we're going to do the best we can.
Yes. Yes. When my 3-year-old was really little, she was often up with me working out, but she needed to be held. So she was often my dumbbell, right? So I just held her and I did the
Oh,
movement. And that was my, whatever, she was 15 pounds at the time. That was my 15-pound dumbbell for my workout that morning. She got her love she needed. I still got my movement.
yeah.
We were both happy.
I love that. I love
Yes.
that. Well, you're right. And we can learn a lot from them. I might have
Yes.
told you this before, and maybe I've said this on a podcast. I think it's adorable. My daughter practices mindfulness and my granddaughter, I mean, she was only 2 at the time. And, they had been talking about breathing and reading books and all of that. And she called out my daughter and is like, Mama, you need to stop and breathe. It's like, okay, my 2-year-old is reminding me that I need, so they're
Yes.
watching us all the time. And when
They
we can
are.
support each other,
Yes.
it's a good
Yes.
thing. So,
Yes.
so beautiful. Well, Tanya, it's been so great to visit with you. I have so enjoyed, even though we support you in the work at Garmin, we don't always have a chance to,
Yeah.
talk about details of all the things that you're doing at Garmin. And they're just very fortunate to have you and your team and bringing all the great things to your organization, your associates. And it takes all of us,
Yes.
really working on this and reducing that stigma and elevating the conversation. And
Yes.
so I'm super grateful for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. No, thanks for having me. This was wonderful. Like you mentioned, we don't get time to just chat like this, right? And so this was great to have. And I can't thank you enough for you and your program and what it's done, not only, like I said, for associates, but for me. I'm forever thankful for that.
Well, so Tanya, if anybody wanted to reach out to you,
Yeah.
how would they get a hold of you? I'm just thinking, especially if they're in a role like yours and they kind
Yeah.
of want to brainstorm or talk through maybe some of the things that we've talked about or get more information, how could they reach you?
Yeah. So best way would probably just be email, which is Tonya Williams@garmin.com.
Okay, very good. Awesome. Well, our podcast is here to inspire and empower your journey and my journey and all of our journey as we work toward living a life of mindfulness. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things. If you need to reach me or want to connect, you can reach me at mindful-momentum.com. But that is all for today. Thanks so much.